Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti.
And don't you just love how I brought in our studio audience today? Those are my friends and family, y'all. They're here to clap it up and celebrate this great girlfriend magic that is happening here on the show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy.
Great girlfriends. I feel like I'm about to just have like a whole afternoon in the backyard, sit, chat, and chill with my great girlfriend that's on today, Atoya Burleson.
What's going on?
That's the round of applause.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on. You are a great girlfriend. I appreciate you, so I'm excited.
Girl, I love you deep, deep, deep. And great girlfriends, you know what I forgot to tell you, Atoya, and I forgot to even celebrate on my own, which is probably a whole other show. But so much has changed, first of all. But guess what today is? Atoya, guess.
Wait, what is
Let
today?
me just see what you come up with. What's today?
Is it Girlfriend Appreciation Day?
It's not. However, you're close.
Friendship Day?
It's not. It's the 6-year anniversary of the Great Girlfriends. OMG. How did I forget that?
I feel so special.
I'm so special.
I'm celebrating your birthday, your other birthday.
Yes. It's the birthday. Great girlfriends. I completely have had my head down with so much that I have forgotten to celebrate. This is our 6-year anniversary of the podcast, of the community, of empowering women and connecting and building bridges and supercharging. And I'm just so excited because over the 6 years, we've hit over 1 million downloads. We've had a conference annually. We've had virtual events all around the nation. Well, virtual events that have hit women all around the nation. We've got a global community. I mean, so many, and products, so many things that have been built over the 6 years. And y'all have stuck around for it. And I'm so grateful.
That is so admirable. That is, I mean, talking about building something fantastic that women can all enjoy. And just knowing that you're connecting all these fantastic women and you're talking about and empowering them. And there's all these amazing emotions that you get to stir up, that they get to listen, they get to learn. It's fantastic that you've done this for 6 years. Happy birthday.
Girl, thank you. I can't do a cake because now that I'm on the West Coast, I can't be eating cake like I used to out on the East Coast.
Real
I cannot have as much cake, but I will have a Snickers.
A cake pop. You can go to a cake pop.
I'm going to have a cake pop. And I encourage every single one of you to have a cake pop today in honor, because honestly, Atoya, none of this could have happened without my great girlfriend, Brandis Daniel, who jumped on this journey with me, said yes to the microphone, picked up, got on the roller coaster and rode the wave with me for a number of years. And then it couldn't have happened without great girlfriends, like really chiming in and going, I love this. I want more, and coming to the events and sending us these empowering messages saying thank you. Like that kind of stuff lets us know that it's working and that it was worth doing every single week for 6 years.
Absolutely. It's encouraging.
6 years.
You're on the right track. That's what keeps you going.
On the right track. And you know what? I have to say something about that, it's because you don't always feel like you're on the right track when you're on the right track. Oftentimes you can feel derailed, right? Because there have been many times where I was like, God, for real? You still want me to do this? Is anybody out there? And it just feeling alone and feeling like maybe I've gone too far. Maybe it's over and all the things. And I'll keep getting that spiritual confirmation. And then I'll get messages and then a brand partner and all the different things. And then I meet dynamic women like you along the way. And it's all the little reminders, like the breadcrumbs, as my friend Jovian would say, that help us know you're where you're supposed to be. So
good.
Thank you for being a breadcrumb, Atoya.
I've always wanted to be a breadcrumb in someone's life. So I'm glad I could just lead you on the right trail. And you've done the same for me. So I appreciate you too.
Oh my gosh. Because even you think about it. So great girlfriends, you're just chiming into something that's a pre-existing love fest. But I met Atoya through a great girlfriend, through the Great Girlfriends. 2016. Kibi Anderson, who is my great girlfriend, who is Atoya's sister, came to the Great Girlfriends Conference with a friend of ours for the relationship panel. And after that conference, we got connected through our friend Ali to have lunch. And we had lunch. And I think Kiwi was at ABC at the time or something of the sort.
Yeah.
I think she was at ABC.
Yep.
It was moons ago that we connected and we found like a kindred spirit there. And we just kept connecting and kept, staying in touch with each other, to the point over the years we progressed in our friendship. She was moving to LA. She invited me to her farewell party. And I was like, we did not fully get to do our full friendship. And I feel like we got cheated. So we need more time. And as we delved into that a little more, we became great friends, did some work together with Red Table Talk. And Kiwi goes, you have got to meet Atoya. Atoya is my sister. She lives a town over from you. I'm like, is she Black too? I didn't see her at the grocery store. I don't know. Where is she? And she invited me to your home. And I think that was a wrap. I want to say it was a wrap. I was feeling it.
It was a
day.
wrap.
Okay,
we had
good.
dinner,
Like,
we laughed, we kikied. It was
the kids
meant
laughed.
to be.
Yes.
The kids enjoyed each other thoroughly. That was a blessing. Kiwi is such a great resource, and she's such an amazing god sister. She's actually Nate's god sister, but I stole her from him. And we've always been connected like this from the time that we met. So for her to say you have to meet someone, I knew it was someone special, and she did not disappoint.
No, she didn't. And I was so excited about it. And so funny because prior year at Essence Festival, Kwaku met Nate. Right? So there was some tentacles happening, and they found out that you guys were one town over and something like that. So when Kiwi brought it up, I'm like, I think that's the guy that Kwaku met last summer. And it was just so funny that the world is so small. And I love that the world is small because it allows things like this to happen. And Atoya is also a dynamic podcaster and a community builder. She's the host and founder of Inside Lines podcast, and she talks about women in sports. And I love, let me tell you something, this is your season, boo, to be talking about the Olympics. Woo!
Listen, so much to talk about.
So
much to talk about.
And she's a wife and a mom of 3.
Yes. I feel like I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot, especially in sports. So there's a lot going on right now, but I think we're all learning. I think a lot of people are learning that athletes are human.
Athletes are human, not machines.
Yeah, they're learning that, I think for many, many years, we've been treated like a machine. We've been treated like just the performer, just the person to go out and make someone else happy. And people are now realizing that we are all human. We go through things just like you do. We love going out and performing for you or competing for you and making you smile. But at the end of the day, remember that we're human. We go home to families too. We feel just like you do. Mm-hmm. And don't forget that, because that's exactly what's happening. I think about back to Naomi Osaka when she first came out and she decided she wasn't going to compete. And people were like, what? But she was like the first glimpse of that. You're like, okay, she did not feel comfortable. She listened to herself and she honored herself.
Yes, girl.
And I think not only is that important as an athlete, but to me, that's so important as a woman. A lot of the time we don't listen. We might listen, but we don't honor it. We just kind of push it to the side. And now these young girls are learning to honor themselves. And I love all of it.
I love it too. And I love the fact that they understand boundaries. And, to hear Simone Biles say that she felt like the weight of the world was on her shoulders, as a gymnast, and the pressure that she felt to deliver. We're at home watching the Olympics, not thinking that she's carrying that level of weight, but the pressure of committing to fans and people pleasing can be overwhelming. And I love that she created or she understood that she had a boundary that she wouldn't cross. Like you said, honoring yourself is a big deal because we oftentimes, many times, will push in an effort to show up, in an effort to create the win or to make ourselves look like we're ready for the world and look ready. But in truth, we're not there, you know? Yeah. So I feel like that her being present, mind, body, and spirit, that alignment for Naomi and for her gave them both permission to say, no, I'm going to have to, not even regretfully, but I'm going to have to step away in honor of me being me and protecting myself.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'm proud of them for doing that. I know it's not easy and you do have to deal with the backlash behind it, but most importantly, you're taking care of you. And I'm glad these girls are figuring that out. And I'm hopeful that the media will be cognizant of the questions they ask and the things that they do, and maybe try to redirect or come up with a better plan in how they deal with media and these athletes, because that's a lot of burden as well.
That is a burden. That's so true. I kind of feel, I don't know that it needs to be revamped, but I do think we have a new gen, right? We've got a new generation of conscious, more in touch individuals who are not going to press past. We were very sacrificial in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s. You put your whole life on the line to get what you wanted. And people are now recognizing that it shouldn't cost what it costs so many people.
Yes, it should not. And you, like you said, you put everything on the line to a detriment of yourself, right? And you look back with a lot of regrets. Maybe you do have all of these medals or trophies, but you have so many regrets, of like, gosh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have spoke up for this. I wish I would have said this. Yep. And now I think with so much social media and so much knowledge at an early age, it could be used either way, but these girls are using it for good. They're like, I'm going to speak up for myself. So,
I love that. We're going to switch topics just a pinch, Atoya, from what I told you what we're going to talk about.
Let's do it.
I like where we are when we're thinking of speaking up for ourselves and showing up for ourselves. That's been the theme for the Great Girlfriends for 2021. And it stemmed from the fact that in 2020, we had to show up for our families. We had to turn into the teacher. We were the cleaning lady. We were, the CEO. We were doing all the things, still being wives if you're a wife, or still even wanting to date in a pandemic, all the different facets of who we had to be in 2020, to survive it. But now we're in 2021 where things are a bit different. We're at a point of ease, just a pinch. I do want to encourage everyone to stay distant and still be conscious of COVID. But we have a little more space to show up for ourselves. And it can look very different from what it looked like in 2019 even.
Yeah. Yep.
And, so we talk about showing up for ourselves in our community a lot. I want to know what it means for you, Atoya, to show up for yourself.
Showing up for myself, I think the biggest thing for me is just carving out time specifically for me every single week. I didn't do that, when my kids were younger. I think you kind of lose yourself. I know I did at some point as a mother, as a wife. And when I realized that, I knew I had to restructure everything and carve out specific time for me. So showing up for me is giving myself a self-care day to do what it is I want to do. And it can differ, every Sunday or whatever day I decide to do it on. It can differ. It doesn't have to be the same. It could be reading a book. It could be going shopping. It could be getting a facial, a massage. It could just be sitting or pushing a cart through Target, drinking my my latte. It's just showing up for you and spending time with you, giving yourself to really think and reflect and grow and just figure out what you need, right?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the time I was neglecting that. And so when I learned that, it not only made me set aside time to do it, but it also in the matter of a week, sometimes during the day, I'd be like, okay, I need just 15 minutes. Like it kind of made me start being more aware. Like I just need 15 minutes for myself. I just need to go in this room, close this door. I need to pray, or I need to read something, a devotional. I need, to sit in my car. I need to drive, put my music on high and just not think, right? It could be something different. So it kind of made me aware of what I was missing, not just once a week, but throughout my day, giving myself that little bit of time, right? To come back down and to be you and figure out what you need and tell you, I see you. I see you, Atoya. I'm going to give you this real quick. Yeah. So that for me was huge.
I love that. When you say, I see you, Atoya, that sentence alone could game change for another woman, because we sometimes are invisible to ourselves. And you know what I mean? And we make a practice of putting other people up front and seeing other people and showing up and serving our families, our children. Yeah. Or serving, our careers. or our bosses, or even serving Instagram, you know, all the different places where we have been asked to show up, or we just do that and never really see ourselves. And when you fully see yourself, you start to like unlock all these different passions. You start to rediscover peace, like what it means to you. And it doesn't always include the things that it did before. I tell the story because this was a moment for me. This was a moment where I knew as a mom, I had to make a different space for myself. This was so many moons ago because my daughter is about to be 10, right? But Dylan was a baby. So Sam was 2.5. Kwaku was a grown man. And I was a grown woman. All right, set the stage. I'm nursing Dylan, minding my business, nursing Dylan. Sam comes up and you know, Dylan got her hand on one boob and she got her hand on the other and she's like locked in. Sam comes up, he throws a hand over his shoulder and he's, mommy, me, right? Okay, I can deal with that. Then comes Kwaku's heavy hands. And, you know, he throws his hands on my arms and he could have been saying the smallest thing, but all of a sudden I felt like a cow. I was like, I am a cattle. I feel like everybody, like I was being pawed by everyone and it didn't feel like affection. I didn't like it. I didn't want all the hands on me. And I knew at that point, I was like, somebody else would probably be so pleased with this moment, but I am so dissatisfied that my body is not my own right now. And I had to start making definitive choices about, you know, boundaries, even with my family. To show up for myself meant that I had to tell my kids, no touch time, no touching mommy time, or Kwaku, I'll see you later. Because your hands with the baby nursing hand, it just all felt wrong. Atoya?
It's suffocating, right? It's literally suffocating and you feel like you can't get out and you're like, help. And then you realize like, oh, I'm gonna help. I need to help myself. Okay, let's put these boundaries in place. Right.
Yes. No one asks permission. Do you mind if I touch you? Do you mind? Like no one asks permission. No one asks for rights. And I felt like my rights were being stripped from me and I had to reclaim them. And that early show up for me, Atoya, helped me respect even my daughter's boundaries as a baby. She was a baby that didn't require a lot of touch. I thought, you know, all babies wanted kisses and affection. She was not that baby. But I learned very early in order to show up for her, let me pay attention to her cues. Well, what about when we pay attention to our own cues? Like our bodies are telling us things. Life is speaking to us. You know, a lot of times we'll feel like it's time to make a new decision with our career, or maybe have to pivot. Or maybe it's time to sever relationships or create different boundaries with people, right?
That's the word, yes.
You know, and that's part of showing up for yourself.
Yes. And if you don't spend that time with yourself or you don't realize what you like or what you don't like, you will find yourself in a lot of mess. And you're like, how did I get here? What happened?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't spend that time. I didn't pay attention to the cues. I didn't check in with myself. I didn't acknowledge my own feelings, right?
Yeah.
And the more you start doing that, and like you said, Sybil, when you do that, then you teach your kids that. And then they can in turn do the same thing to their friends or to whoever they're around. So, you know, it's not only important and healthy for you, but look at the blessing you're giving to your kids.
Right.
And your husband too.
Yeah. And, you know, I think about like the way I was raised, Latoya. I was raised to be very kind and considerate. And that kindness and consideration affects the way that I'm able to I'm so kind and considerate to other people, but I had to offer that to myself. I didn't know how to offer that inward kindness, that inward consideration. And I didn't learn that until I was well into my 30s. And I realized you are being cruel to your body, always working on it, always telling your body it needs to be tighter, be this, be less, be more, instead of accepting, you know? So have you ever found that you needed to be more kind to Atoya?
Oh, for sure. I think, you know, if you go back to, like you said, paying attention to your body, I think about my first child and everything happened so fast. I feel like with the first, it's almost a blur in a little, in a sense, because you don't really remember a lot of it, but you do remember some of it. And I think you bounce back quicker with the first, right? Then comes the second.
Facts.
Right. And so when you put the baby down, you still have the other one looking at you. So when do you take care of yourself? So then you're going from one child to the next. You're not even paying attention to yourself as much. And then you see yourself and you don't like yourself, but you know you need to work out, but you haven't set aside time to work out. You haven't given yourself enough time to just be, you know, and understand I need to heal first physically, internally, and then I'll work on myself. So you start, I feel like I almost started not looking, right? I started not looking at myself. And I started focusing on more of the kids or the distractions because I didn't have to worry about myself. And then one day you look and you're like, what happened? How did I get here? Who did this?
Right.
And so you're like, I don't like me. And like, once again, I realized I had to take care of Atoya. I had to do more for me. Because if you don't, you'll get in a dark place and you will second guess everything that you are now because you're comparing it to all that you were pre-kids.
Yes.
And it's not the same. It's not the same. You know?
So what would you say, Atoya, to the girlfriend who is hidden right now, who has, tucked herself under the shadow and said, I'll get to you later. I've been hurt before. I'm guilty. Have you,
Girl,
and said, I'll get to you later. Right. We've been there.
We've all been there. And I think it's like a coping mechanism. It's a way to keep going and not pay attention. It's almost a bit of like trauma in the sense of if you suppress it and not pay attention to it, it'll go away. But then eventually you don't realize it's going to resurface and it's not going to be pretty. Right. Yeah. So I would say to her, just deal with the things that you suppress. That to me was not just about myself, but it could be stuff from childhood, things that you suppressed before. It almost becomes a habit if you don't learn and you're not cognizant of, oh my gosh, I do this a lot. I'm not dealing. I just kind of push it down and keep going, push it down and keep going. So yourself, finding someone to talk to, it can be a therapist. It can be finding a trainer. You might say, I just can't work out. Okay, well, find a trainer that's going to come and kick your butt and make you work out, right?
Yeah.
Find someone, pray about, Lord, please bring something in my life that gives me a glimpse of what I need to do. Because sometimes it comes in just little small sprinkles, right? And you have to be like, that's it. Let me catch that. Let me talk to that person. Let me find out more, right? God doesn't always show up with the big banner and says, this is it, right?
Right.
People that he brings in your path that you have to pay attention to. If you're aware and you've kind of realized, okay, I have pushed all this aside. I need to bring it back up and I need to deal. He brings the people in to deal. And he might bring a person in your life that gives you a link to something else completely different that you need. So you never know how he's going to show up. But if you are aware that you need to change and you pray on it and you put some steps in place and you become aware of your surroundings, God will put people in your path. I truly believe that. He's done that. I've moved 11 times. And he's always put people in my path, whether it be friends, different things that I need for my kids. Whatever it is, he always, if you pray on it and you're more cognizant of your surroundings, he will sprinkle that in your face and you'll say, okay, that's what I needed. Thank you. And it's those little steps that end up creating something so big. And you look back like, wow, you did all that. I didn't even realize that you did all that,
Yeah.
So just start paying attention, writing it down. I journal a lot. I go back and even read my old journals and kiki and giggle. My girl, you was a hot mess, but you see how far you've come and you're like, yes, I'm so glad that I wrote this down. I'm so glad that I can look back and understand what I was going through. And I think for me, that was a big thing was journaling.
Yeah. I've had to that point, Atoya, I've had those moments where I told I don't like me right now. I don't like me because I didn't feel like I was being myself. And I felt like I was doing too much of what everyone else needed. And if there's another, if I could offer a great girlfriend, one thing that feels hidden, I would tell her she's got to remove the veil. She's got to take that veil away. We tuck away because we think that we're not enough, or that we don't have enough, or that people won't accept us or love us. And it really starts with us saying, I'm enough, I have enough, and I love me. And, being willing to be the first one at the party. I'm the first one to RSVP for my party. I'm the first one to buy a ticket to the Great Girlfriends Conference. I'm the first one to smile at me. I'm going to be the first one to do it. I'm not going to ask Kwaku to do it first, or the kids to do it, or my friends. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be the first one to be willing to do it. And when I started to do that for me, Atoya, I felt so sufficient. And I felt satisfied. And I also started to see things in myself that I hadn't noticed before because I was paying more attention to Sybil and less attention to how other people perceive Sybil.
Listen, I'm a true believer in that. I am. I'm a true believer. I stand by the quote, you are in charge of your own happiness.
I'm telling you.
That to me is everything. I can't wait for anyone else to make me happy. I have to choose. I have to figure out what makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I have to choose me in those moments. So I'm a true believer in that. I think it's important for all women to understand that no one else can make you happy but you.
Yes.
And then you attract all the right people.
Come on. You be like, you like yourself. And I can tell because you laugh at your own joke and it ain't even that funny. That's how I know you laugh.
Right? I be kikiing too. My boys be looking at me and I be cracking myself up. I'm like, I don't care what y'all say. That was funny. Okay.
I like my joke. And I have this is the worst joke. It's not the worst. It's actually the best joke ever. I always say things are so Gouda because I love Gouda cheese. And the family is like, oh, there she goes. I'm like, that was very Gouda, kids. Don't hate on me. That's my joke.
That is adorable. That's adorable.
I love it. And they're like, but that's my joke for me. It's my inside joke. And I have my own celebration and other people are just invited to join me. And I know I lived my majority of my early life waiting on other people to clap first. And if they didn't clap, I didn't think things were good enough. I didn't think I was good enough. And it wasn't until I got good and grown and literally 2 kids in that I was like, I'm still waiting on people and they're not showing up. What's going on? And God really showed me, it's me and you. It's not about, but anyway, I love this, Atoya. So Atoya and I have made the choice, our personal declarations. My affirmation, Atoya, is I choose me. That's my affirmation. And I'm like, anybody else that chooses me is solid. I got them because I'm choosing me and it's good over here. What's your self-affirmation? What's your personal Atoya statement?
I would say similar to that, my turning point is I'm in charge of my own happiness. That was a turning point for me. And that's when I realized that no one else knows who I am more than me. No one knows what I want more than me. It starts with me. And when I realized that, that's when, you turn the corner. You're like, let's go, girl. We got this figured out. Let's go. So you're in charge of your own happiness.
Yes. You know what I love about you too, Atoya? I met you being happy with Atoya. Like I met you loving Atoya, figuring stuff out like we all are, but still I met you loving Atoya. And like, I was so attracted to the fact that you are so into you in the best ways. Like you are so intentional about showing up for yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've learned it was you had to figure it out. I had to figure it out after kid number 2. I had to figure it all out, and once you do, it's like, okay, here we go. So, what I realize is you change over seasons. So, what was great for me and what made me happy pre-kids, as just being the selfish, 20-year-old that we all are, is different post-marriage, kids later, like what makes you happy change. You have to check in with yourself.
That's right.
And you have to do that. And then you realize like, oh, I don't like that anymore. I think I like this better. And so we have to really be aware that we are going to change and it's okay.
Yes. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
In fact, there was a wise woman named Michelle Obama who wrote an entire book about becoming.
She sure did.
Because it's real. It's real deal life. That's what we're doing. So, Atoya, I'm going to have you hang around for a while. Great girlfriends. When I tell you, have the best, longest breakfast with Atoya, and I'm always running late afterwards because I never want to leave her. And I'm like, oh, Lord, I forgot my kids. Let's go.
You and me both. Yeah, we are here, okay?
Gotta go get the kids. Oh, I forgot this. But I'm going to have Atoya hang out. And I'm so excited that you're coming to the conference and that you're going to be speaking at the conference. I'm so excited for the conference. I cannot wait.
I'm so excited to connect with women. It's going to be fantastic. I look forward to it.
Yes. So, Atoya, where can they keep up with all things Atoya Burleson?
Well, that's it. AtoyaBurleson.com is my website, my blog. Also, Inside Lines podcast is .com is my Inside Lines website. You can also check me out on social media at Atoya Burleson, or at Inside Lines podcast. So super easy. It's all the same. Check me out. Say hi. I say hi back. I'm friendly.
Yes, she is. I love it. I love it. All right, great girlfriends. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will catch you next week.
Happy birthday, great girlfriends.
Happy birthday.
Great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast, into the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. You follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends and on Twitter at @the_great_GFS. Last but not least, we'd like to thank my amazing husband, Kwaku, Sam and Dilly, and all of you for being a part of the global community that makes us so strong. Please remember to share with your friends. Keep listening and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.